Welcome back to Testing the Internet series. You're watching Part 18, Infinite Scroll. In the previous video, you learned how to capture an element in an iframes, and it is just as easy as capturing any native element on a web page, which speeds up the test design and ensures robustness in the test case. In this video, you will learn how to automate infinite scroll behavior on modern websites using Leapwork, a must when dealing with endless lists of articles, blog posts, or products. Maybe your test didn't scroll far enough to load more content, the element wasn't found because it hadn't appeared yet. Or the flow broke because the scroll didn't trigger dynamic loading. This happens because the content keeps loading as you scroll. Some elements only show up when they're on screen, and most automation tools can't keep up with those changes. As this kind of interaction breaks most traditional automation, it becomes hard to test reliably. That's where Leapwork helps. Using features like Scroll into View and flexible strategies, you can handle infinite scroll with total control. To demonstrate, we'll show you a simple test scenario. So the test case here is to scroll down and identify that you keep on adding new paragraphs. And maybe at 5 or 10 elements later, you'll see that the test case is now passed. Let's automate this scenario in Leapwork and see how quick it is. Let's launch the test case page using the Start Web Browser block. And we'll capture one of the paragraphs on the infinite scroll page. We'll use the Find Web Element block because we want to identify a text paragraph that triggers the infinite scroll behavior. That's it for now. Let's save and close the recorder. Let's edit the strategy so that the test will automatically scroll down to each paragraph as it appears. Since the text inside the paragraphs changes every time the page reloads, and we don't really care about the specific text, we'll remove all references to the actual content. Instead of matching text, we'll set the selection to simply look for all paragraph elements, making it completely independent of what's inside them. After that, we'll enable Scroll into View on the Find Web element. This makes sure that each found paragraph gets scrolled into the visible area of the page, triggering the infinite scroll. We'll also set the block to use all occurrences so we can iterate over every paragraph that gets loaded. And to avoid running the flow while the page is still updating, enable Await DOM change and set it to 1 second. This ensures the test only continues when the page has stopped changing for a moment. Finally, to keep our flow from running endlessly, we'll add a compare block to check the current iteration index. We'll compare the current index with the value 5 using the greater than or equal to method. This means the flow will only pass once at least 5 paragraphs have been scrolled into view. We chose 5 as a reasonable checkpoint to confirm that the infinite scroll is working and that new content is loading as expected without looping endlessly. If the index reaches 5 or more, we'll assume enough scrolling has occurred and passed the flow. Let's run the test and see those paragraphs load smoothly. And as expected, our flow passed. Leapwork found the first paragraph on scroll, index 1, which wasn't enough to pass the flow. As the scroll continued, the second, third, and fourth paragraphs were found one by one. Finally, on reaching the 5th paragraph, our condition of greater than or equal to 5 was met, and the flow passed successfully. That's how easily you can handle even tricky infinite scroll scenarios using Leapwork. With just a few visual blocks, no coding, no complex scripting, you're able to simulate real scroll behavior, wait for content to load, and verify conditions visually and reliably. Now, let's quickly recap the flow. We launched the scroll page, captured a paragraph, edited the strategy to make it dynamic, enabled Scroll into View, set it to iterate through all matches, added a short wait for content load, and finally used a compare block to validate the index. We ran the flow, and it passed as soon as the first 5 paragraphs were successfully scrolled into view, just as our condition required. So, what's been the key learning in this video? You learned how to automate infinite scroll using Leapwork's visual blocks. Now it's super easy for you to take on modern web patterns like infinite scroll, dynamic rendering, and lazy loading with no code and full confidence. Give this exercise a try yourself and see how much faster your automation can be. Thank you for being part of the Testing the Internet series. You're making great progress, and there's still more to explore in this series, so keep learning at your own pace. Moreover, you can continue your learning through our product documentation that offers detailed feature overviews and functionality details. In addition to this, explore the knowledge base section that complements this with real-world guidance and practical automation examples. If you have any questions or need support, you can reach out to us anytime through live support. We're always here to help you succeed. Thanks for being with us. See you in the next lesson.